What's going on, everybody? It is Joe. Welcome to the channel. Today we have an exciting day talking about Bitcoin today and some news that happened over the weekend. And today we're going to touch on Gamestop, which was some of the big news from the today and this weekend. We're going to touch on the Super Bowl and some related news there. We're going to touch on some states getting into the strategic reserve and what I think that means. And then we're also going to touch on why there's a big sentiment right now of people wishing they were more heavily in Bitcoin instead of all these altcoins, and why I think that is this cycle. Whereas in previous bull run cycles, a lot of people had the mindset that they were going to be in alts, and so that's kind of how they entered this bull cycle that everyone's expecting. But this cycle seems a little bit different, with people kind of thinking most or along the lines of Bitcoin. So we'll touch on that a little bit as well. But before we dive into that, if you guys could please like the video, please subscribe, please comment below. Your support means the world as I'm growing this channel. So please like, please subscribe, and please comment. But until then, let's dive right into things. So we got Bitcoin hovering right around 97,000 today. Touched 98 briefly, got down to like 95 for a little bit, but for the most part just over 97 most of the day, which is super encouraging for the most part. We saw some altcoins take some pretty heavy dips over the course of the last week, but Bitcoin held its own for the most part, which is very impressive, very encouraging for the future. We didn't see those 20 to 30% drops like a lot of these altcoins had. Some of them are responding a little bit and rebounding back up, not quite to where they were, but Bitcoin for the most part held its own. So that was super encouraging to see it right around that $100,000 mark still. So if that's not optimistic to see that price holding strong, I don't know what is. I think we're just setting up for this candle here coming up soon. I think it's going to happen. The public, the institutions, everyone's just holding, waiting, and it's just going to take off here soon. But let's dive into some of the news now from this weekend. First, since yesterday was Super Bowl Sunday, we had Jack and Jack hanging out with Saquon Barkley, one of the main reasons the Eagles won it all, and they took a picture of him after they were both wearing their Satoshi shirts, so that was kind of cool to see Bitcoin getting that representation. And for those of you who aren't aware why they were doing this with Saquon, Saquon is a big believer in Bitcoin, and he actually, back in 2021, chose to take all of his endorsement money in Bitcoin when the price was around $35,000. So safe to say that was quite the financial decision back then. So that's pretty cool to see those people, these athletes, take these chances on Bitcoin, whether it's taking their salary in Bitcoin or taking their endorsement money in Bitcoin. I saw Russell Okung, a lineman, took his salary in Bitcoin several years ago, and that turned out quite well for him as well. So to see these guys take that in Bitcoin and then see Jack and Jack hanging out with them, that's pretty cool to see, repping their Satoshi shirts at the Super Bowl. So wanted to start off talking about the Super Bowl, since we just had Super Bowl Sunday and some of the news surrounding that. So just think it's cool to get Bitcoin's name out there on a national stage like that, and with those two names, with one of the biggest names in football right now. So cool to see. If you guys want to comment about the Super Bowl below, that would be cool. I'm a big football fan, so to see your comments would be awesome. Also, diving into the news surrounding Bitcoin now. A lot of the news surrounding this weekend was GameStop, with what their plans are for the future. A lot of rumors in circulation when he met with Michael Saylor. This picture came out a couple days ago. GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen meeting with Michael Saylor. GameStop's known for having a ton of cash on hand. I think they have $4.6 billion cash in hand. And so a lot of people have been saying for years that they should put at least a portion of that into Bitcoin, and what that would do for the company, how they could elevate the company. And so now that he met with Michael Saylor, those rumors are resurfacing, and we got a lot of people thinking that could happen. So is that why the price went up a little bit? It was around 96, went up to 98. Some people think it is. I don't really think that's the reason, but I do think this is a reason to be bullish. Seeing GameStop CEO, all that cash. Let's see, I think there's another one. Yeah, if they were to invest all of that $4.6 billion in cash, They would acquire approximately 48,000 Bitcoin. This would make GameStop the second largest corporate holder of Bitcoin, ranking behind MicroStrategy, who actually rebranded to just Strategy, and surpassing Mara Holdings. That would be quite the statement. So, what do you guys think happens there? I'm curious to find out. I'm going to be following that closely because that would be another very bullish sentiment if they were to go through with that. I think this is, yeah, cool to see this happening. You're seeing all these institutions getting involved into Bitcoin, and retail's going to get left behind. Don't get left behind. It's a great buying opportunity now. Anytime under six figures, $100,000 in my mind is a great time to buy. I think we're setting up for a green candle. All these institutions, states are getting into it, which we're going to go over here soon. This is not financial advice. This is what I'm doing and what I think is going to happen. And there's just so much evidence out there that with all these states getting involved, with the country getting involved, like there's just a ton of reason to be bullish. So Michael Saylor, speaking of Michael Saylor, let's see. MicroStrategies has acquired $7,600 of Bitcoin for $742 million at $97,000 per Bitcoin. That's another big investment. They now hold 478,000 Bitcoin acquired for $31.1 billion. That's another big investment by Strategy. And for those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, MicroStrategy did rebrand to Strategy, and it is now the largest Bitcoin treasury company in the world, so that's kind of cool to see, and they just keep acquiring more. With that now, going on to the states, some of the state-related news we've seen. We'll touch on some of the other states, but a couple days ago, Kentucky became the 16th U.S. state to introduce a Bitcoin reserve bill, allowing up to 10% of state reserves to be allocated into digital assets like Bitcoin. So they were the 16th. That was a couple days ago. There's been a few since then. We had Florida that just came out today, I believe. And they introduced House Bill 487 that would also allow 10% of public funds. I believe that comes out to, that would be over $1 billion as well, invested into Bitcoin through the state. Florida, Missouri, and Ohio all just introduced that. So you're seeing, I think we're up close to 20 states now that have come up with Bitcoin reserve bills. Like, Bitcoin is here to stay. Crypto is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. I don't feel like we have to worry about these massive drop-offs when all these states, when we have countries, when we have all these institutions getting involved. Bitcoin's going to start to stabilize, and then once we see that adoption take place, we're going to see those candles. We're going to see prices go up. Like, I just have a hard time seeing these big drop-offs when all these states are involved, countries are involved. Sure, it could happen, but I just think the bullish sentiment here with all these states now over 20 or close to 20 and being into these strategic reserves is very bullish. Give me your thoughts below, what you think about that. And then, yeah, North Carolina just introduced the strategic Bitcoin reserve as well. So you had Florida, Missouri, Ohio, Kentucky, North Carolina, all recently filing for these strategic reserves. I'm pretty bullish on that. And like I was saying, a lot of people, like, normally when we enter these bull cycles, we get a ton of people looking into altcoins and saying like, hey, I'm going to put all this money into altcoins. I think we're going to go into alt season. Those are going to shoot way up. Then I'm going to take profits, put it into Bitcoin. In this bull cycle, it hasn't been a huge bull cycle yet. We're still kind of waiting for that. But a lot of people now are kind of thinking like, hey, I have these money in altcoins right now, but I have more faith in Bitcoin. I'm seeing Bitcoin being talked about a lot. I just kind of want to put my money in Bitcoin and see what happens. Maybe I sprinkle a little bit in altcoins. Maybe I take some chances. But for the most part, like, I want to increase my Bitcoin holdings. I feel like that's the safest. And that's kind of the feeling and the sentiment I'm getting now. Like, people are starting to change their tune a little bit. So let me know if that's you below, or if you still believe in the altcoins this season. If you do feel like we're going to have that alt season coming up, if you do plan on having a majority in altcoins and then funneling profits into Bitcoin and taking that chance, or what your strategy is below. I still think we're going to have alt season at some point. I'm not sure how long that's going to be, whether it's a 2 week or 4 week or maybe a month or two stretch where we're going up 30-40% or whatever it might be. But that's more people are thinking that's a little riskier now this time around, and they see Bitcoin being mentioned with all these different ways to be involved with states and government that they're just wanting to take the chance on Bitcoin. So curious to know your guys' thoughts, what your thinking is there. But yeah, I'm definitely different this time around compared to the last couple of bull cycles. I'm still believing in altcoins a little bit, but I am going to be a little more heavy on Bitcoin. I think I'm going to be more I'm going to be a little bit quicker to take money out of alts and put it into Bitcoin this cycle, I think. So curious what your thoughts are. Please comment below. Please like the video. Please subscribe. And I'm looking forward to keeping you guys updated with the latest Bitcoin news. And I will talk to you guys next time.